أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله ما بعد. Welcome to this series of short reminders entitled Moments from Makkah. The first lecture, the first talk is entitled The Year of the Elephant. This is the year when Abraha Habashi came to knock down the Kaaba, to destroy the Kaaba. Makkah had a special place in the heart of Arabia, in that it was a place that people would come to worship. Abraha Habashi, the governor of Yemen, was a Christian man, and he wanted the Christian religion to become more prominent in this area, and so he built a huge church which he called Qulais. The reason why it was called Qulais was because if you looked up to the tower, it would cause your turban to fall down. And as a result of that, he built this Qulais so that it would be the place where people would come to worship. A man from the tribe of Kinana went inside Qulais and defiled it by defecating in it, which in turn enraged the governor of Yemen, and as a result of that, he had the resolve to get together a huge army, an army of elephants, and that he would go and destroy the Kaaba. So he came into Arabia, and this intention was known by the Arabs, and although he met some small resistance here or there, but they were no match for the army of elephants. Eventually, when Abraha arrived in Mughammas, which was an area just outside of Ta'if, he asked one of his military leaders, Al-Aswad, to go and to capture the wealth of Quraysh and Kinana. And so he went out and captured all of their wealth. And from amongst the wealth that was captured were 200 camels which belonged to Abdul Muttalib, who was one of the chiefs, or the chief of Makkah. And then he asked another of his messengers to go to the Quraysh and to ask for their leader, and to tell them that he has no wish to come and shed their blood. He has only come with the sole purpose of destroying the Kaaba, and if they leave him to his mission, he will not kill anybody. First they resolved to fight him, but they very soon learned that they were no match for him. And so when the messenger came with this message, Abdul Muttalib, who was the leader, he was asked, what is your reaction to this? Will you fight or do you submit? So Abdul Muttalib said, we submit. We have no need to fight you, nor do we have the ability to fight you. And so Abraha also asked his messenger that if they agree not to fight, that he should bring their chief to his camp so that he may meet with him. Abdul Muttalib, when he arrived at the court of Abraha, when he saw him, he was won over by him. He saw that he was a man who had dignity, he was a handsome man, and as the result of that, he felt that it was not good courtesy to sit above him on his throne. Whilst at the same time he couldn't ask that Abdul Muttalib should sit with him on the same throne. So he rectified this by sitting beside him on the floor. And he said to him that, what do you demand of me? So Abdul Muttalib said to him that I have 200 camels which have been captured by your leader, and I require those back. At that, Abraha became surprised. He said that I would expect that you would have begged me to leave your Kaaba. So as a result of that, Abdul Muttalib replied that the Kaaba is the house of Allah and Allah will protect it. And then Abdul Muttalib was given his camels and he returned back to the Quraysh, which in turn he ordered the Quraysh, all of them, to flee Makkah and to take refuge in the mountains. And because he feared that the army may do something bad to them. And then he, with a few of the chieftains of the Quraysh, went to the Kaaba. And holding onto the handles of the door of the Kaaba, he made dua to Allah, saying, "Oh Allah, this is your house. Do not allow the cross to overcome it." And after that, then Abraha took his army and advanced onto the Kaaba. And before he could arrive close enough to the Kaaba to even attack the Kaaba, he was in the valley of Muhassar, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an army of small birds, each one of them carrying 3 small pebbles, one in its beak and one in each talon. And those stones were the size of chickpeas or lentils. And the birds came above the army of Abraha, and they dropped those stones upon the army. And any man that would be hit with the stone would die. As a result of that, Abraha's army was lost, and Abraha fled with whatever remnants of an army he had back to Yemen. On the way back to Yemen, slowly his fingers began to fall off, and eventually he arrived in Yemen, and he was like an infant bird, not able to even fend for himself, and eventually he died. And in this way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected his house from the onslaught of his enemies.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم